Assalamu alaykum, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna try to use my voice a little bit more to expand on some of the questions and the concepts that I speak about because, as you know, we're dealing with spiritual matters and we're trying to learn how to use those concepts in practice. We're trying to integrate the teachings and the lessons in our day-to-day life, and I understand how it can require further explanation, more examples, and things like that. So I can only do so much by writing. As you can imagine, these concepts, I do have so much to share and so much to say. So I'm gonna try and see if I voice it might help a little bit more. Um, I will try to do it in this format for now, where I created for you a few visuals where I can expand more on my thoughts. So, on this video, I will talk about briefly about how I became Muslim and how I ended up in the Sufi path, because that's a question that a lot of you have asked me. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I put these flags because these are the countries Allah has taken me to live without my plan. I never intended to live in different countries. I used to not like change at all. I used to fear change a lot. Um, and Allah, for my life at least, anytime I fear something, it happened, and this was one of those things where I didn't want to move around. I didn't want to change locations really, but it happened. And now I understand the wisdom. So, Alhamdulillah, I was born in Mexico, which of course is the flag on the top left. And I was there, I was born in a Catholic family. And I was there until the age of 16. That's when Allah decreed for me to moved to Canada and then to the US, and now I'm in the UK. But to understand a bit why I'm on the Sufi path, I'm gonna tell you, which is something I already share in a story, but let me tell you here anyway, in case you haven't heard it or read it. So, when I was about the age of 8 or 9, I had a very scary dream, very scary, like terrifying dream that I believe that dream was the one that changed the course of my life. So again, I was too young. I was 8 or 9, and I had already had interest in religion. I remember always liking going to church, and my school was Catholic. So, we would pray and have religion class, stuff like that. But it was not until this dream that I began to actually seek guidance and ask God for guidance. So, in the dream, what happened was that my soul was taken by two men. They were taking the souls of children at my school in the dream, and I was hiding and running so they don't get me. But at the end, they got my soul. And I remember walking just with my body, but it was empty. I knew it was empty. I knew I was soulless, and it was a horrible feeling. I was very concerned, very worried in my dream, and I was wondering, how am I going to get my soul back? So at the end of the dream, I look up at the sky, and I see like a little piece of paper coming down the sky with wings. It had two wings. They kind of they had me open my hands, like when we're making dua, so the piece of paper lands on my hands. And once a piece of paper landed, I see the message, and it said, "We do not want your soul because it is dirty and stained." And of course, that was absolutely shocking. I remember trying to scream in my dream. I was trying to get help from my mom, from because when they gave me back my soul, I was at home already. So I was trying to scream and nobody could hear me. I could see the people, I could see they were there, but nobody could hear me. So at that moment, I experienced divine rejection. Through that dream, I was able to experience what it feels to be rejected by the heavens, to be rejected by Allah due to having a dirty soul. And now I understand after all these years that that dream was not because my soul was dirty at the time, because I was still a child. It was rather a warning from Allah to tell me that I was soon gonna come to an age where my deeds were gonna be accountable, where I was gonna start to accumulate sin. And of course, sinning is part of this world. We're all meant to experience sin and pollution in our soul. So it is a matter of purifying the soul and cleaning it. So that's exactly what I saw in my dream. In my dream, I was wondering, um, well, not in the dream itself, but after I woke up, I was wondering now what does it mean my soul is dirty and how can I clean it? So that's when I start asking Allah, rather God. Of course, all of this was in Spanish. I didn't speak English back then. Um, I kept asking God for guidance. I kept asking Him, please save me from being dirty in my soul. At that age, all I knew was like that dream was terrifying, and I need to understand how to clean my soul. It was not until I was on the path of Sufism that I understood more deeply what that dream meant and how it was a warning for me to dedicate my life to tazkiyah and nafs, to purifying my soul. So this verse, this ayah of Quran that I have showcased here, it's very, very profound. And for me, for my life path, it illustrates how Allah teaches all of us through different means. Not not a path is ever gonna be the same. So it doesn't matter how much I share with you about my path. We can always take just what resonates with us because we can never experience the same as another person. And that's why I believe in this path. It is not correct to tell a person what to do exactly. And I understood that, of course, throughout the years. Islam holds a perfect framework for us, but it's about listening to our hearts and discovering what works for us. So this eye of Quran really shifts the focus from the external to the internal. Allah is telling us, have they not traveled through the land so their hearts may reason and their ears may listen? Indeed, it is not the eyes that are blind, but it is the hearts in the chest that grow blind. Subhanallah, this really resonates with me because, of course, it's not really about traveling through different countries. Like, I understand some of us may not be able to do that for whatever reason, or not now at least. It is about understanding that the beliefs that we inherited from our culture, from our family, from religion, even all of those beliefs that we inherited need to be questioned. So, this ayah is telling us that by traveling through the land, and this is what happened to me after I left Mexico, and that's how I became Muslim, right? Through living my culture, through living my people, I was able to understand that the beliefs I was holding and had inherited need to be questioned. They need to be brought up to light to understand if those were the beliefs that I was meant to hold in this life and that they would serve my path to Allah. And this is true for any of you as well, even if you were born in a predominant Muslim country. It's about wondering and asking, is this version of Islam or is this belief that I've been taught correct? Is it serving me? Is it serving my relationship with Allah? So we begin to distinguish what truly is ours, what truly serves our soul, versus what was given to us without questioning. So, in my case, meeting people with different beliefs, different values, and different struggles, it really made me reconsider what I assumed was normal or right. And of course, I have met Muslims from so many different countries, cultures, mindsets, different schools of thought. I'm very passionate about studying different religions, as I mentioned in one of my stories. Like when I became Muslim, it wasn't just the only religion I had studied. I had studied different ones, but I chose Islam for some reasons I will explain in a bit. But basically, this ayah is asking us that it is not it is not our physical eyes that are blind. Rather, it is our hearts that grow blind when we don't question, when we assume that, oh, I was born Muslim, my family is Muslim, and that's it. Like that's all I need. I'm on the right path already and I don't need to question anything. I would kindly ask you to, and I know a lot of you are already in this process based on what you have told me when you message me. But this process doesn't end really, because for as long as we are in this world, we're going to be exposed to absorbing beliefs, energies, and thoughts from people. Of course, usually it's our own family because they are usually the ones closer to us, our culture as well, that will have us feel wrong for asking or questioning something they have been repeating themselves over and over. So any person, that's why in my belief, Allah is asking us to never assume that the region we were born in, the people we were born amongst, and like they are not, we cannot just assume they are right. It's not about the culture or a specific region, being wrong. This doesn't matter where we're born, doesn't matter where we are. It's about looking into our hearts and seeing if we can be blind in our heart. So when I have met people from different walks of life, I do reflect on other ways of understanding Allah, and that has really helped me. And I think this is what this ayah is trying to tell us, that there are so many versions and paths of knowing Allah, and we need to discover our own individual path. I chose Islam for three main reasons. At first, when I became Muslim, I was studying Islam through the mind. Of course, I was very, very passionate about learning more and more and more about Islam. And I love reading, so I would read so many books, so many books. I was, alhamdulillah, gifted so many books. I would attend all the classes and courses and lessons they would invite me, they would kindly invite me from the masjid, from the mosque, and any other Islamic institution. So I was never short of knowledge, alhamdulillah. I was always eager to keep learning, and Allah in his infinite mercy put um, knowledgeable people on my path from the moment I became Muslim. And it was people that had been studying the deen for a while, and they would always answer my questions. I chose Islam. I remember one of the first motivations for me to choose Islam versus other religions was the discipline. Because, brothers and sisters, without discipline, we cannot really be successful in this world or the hereafter. What do I mean by discipline? What I mean is choosing or growing habits that are good for us. I understand that a lot of people abuse discipline and other people actually dismiss it completely. And discipline for me has been, alhamdulillah, despite any issues I may have had at home growing up, one of the things my family taught me was discipline, and I'm very grateful for that because through discipline, I'm able to teach my ego what to do or what not to do, or how to think or what to say. The ego is always talking to us, and we'll get into that more in another video. But for now, what I wanted to explain was that Islam is a beautiful religion where Allah tries to teach us discipline through anything we may be asked, such as the prayers, 5 daily prayers, or fast, or adhkar. It teaches us that there are limits because we live in a world of limitations. So we do need discipline. We need to have habits that are good for us, and we can only implement those habits with discipline. It's like any person that wants to lose weight, any athlete, for example, any person you see and you believe are successful in this world. They have not been able to achieve what they have achieved without discipline. And discipline is something Allah created for all of us to apply in our life. Without it, it's not gonna be possible to go too far. I also chose Islam because it gave answers to any questions I had as soon as I became Muslim. And until now, Alhamdulillah, Allah keeps answering all my questions. And even now, questions that I may have had a few years ago, Allah gives me the answers when He knows I'm capable of understanding them. So, any question you may have, just know that if you ask Allah to give you answers, Allah will. You just need to keep seeking, just continue to be in that inner state of being a seeker where you question things, where you wonder why. Let's say I used to wonder, why is my life so difficult, or why is my life so challenging, or why am I always forced to confront my fears, for example. I always felt like I could never really run away from my fears. It was as if Allah was always asking me to face them. And I understand that it was all for a purpose in my life, and the same for you. Anything you have gone through or maybe going through, you will understand it if you want. If you really ask Allah for understanding as to why your life is the way it is right now, He will provide you the answers. They don't always come quick because it's such a beautiful process the way it all unfolds. And that's where patience also comes in. And as to how I arrived at the Sufi path, and I put spirituality here, and that's why I chose Islam as well. So at first, I of course didn't know much about. I don't think I knew when I became Muslim, I didn't know about the Sufi path. It was not until the year 2017 that Allah gave me a very, very, very difficult test. And this is what would happen, brothers and sisters, where we continue to accumulate knowledge. Let's say we continue, or we believe knowledge is through how many books we have read or how many courses we have taken. Allah will inevitably ask, yeah, Allah will inevitably ask us, what are you going to do with all the knowledge you have kept in your mind? Have you moved that knowledge into your heart? And that was a question Allah was asking me in 2017 when I was not longer able to make sense of what was happening in my life, despite all the knowledge I thought I had. There was a moment where I finally realized that I was living primarily from my ego. And that was my awakening. Because what I'm going to say is hurtful for me to say, because I just cannot believe I said this back then. But it's fine. It's part of human nature. It's part of living through our ego. And of course, I have asked Allah forgiveness for this. But I actually asked Allah. Well, I didn't ask. I just said, Allah, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. This test you're giving to me is a mistake and it's too much for me. So this is not right. That's actually what I said right when I was faced with this test. And Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah's mercy, that's when my ego started to, or rather when I became aware that that was the ego speaking. Because it's only the ego, the one that's going to ever dare to question Allah that way. And that for me, at that moment, I remember it was such an insane moment when I said, Allah, why are you doing this to me? I've always done my prayers. I have helped this way to people. I have done all this many courses. I have recited Quran, or like I attend. In my mind, I was a religious person. In my mind, I thought, oh, like this is all Islam is asking of me. Why do I have to go through this difficulty? So in our very, this is what happens, brothers and sisters. We have a very limited perspective of what life is about. So again, for me, I thought I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything that a Muslim is supposed to do. And Alhamdulillah, that's when I was called to this path where I had to examine my soul. And then I started getting an answer to that dream I had when I was a child, where it was a warning that eventually the day was going to come where I had to purify my soul. I had to purify the stains that I have acquired. And Alhamdulillah, that's what I have been trying to do. Spirituality is action, it's not isolation. I know a lot of you ask me, why does this path feel so lonely? A lot of you live in more of an isolated mode, which I did as well. It's part of the path, it's part of discovering and listening to the whispers of our true self and our soul. We do need moments of isolation, of course, but they're only moments, not our whole life. We cannot spend our whole life in isolation, and Allah explained to us why. For example, in this ayah, Allah tells us that indeed those who believe and do good, they are the best of all creation. Our soul grows through doing good, not escaping the world. I think we have been raised to believe that doing good is only praying, doing dhikr and reading Quran and fasting, even, like things like that. And of course, those actions. are acts of worship. And of course, we do them because it's for our benefit. But here, the lesson that Allah is trying to make us aware of is that doing good includes everything, literally everything. Even when we eat, even when we watch TV, when we're walking, when we're driving, when we are doing laundry, when we are cleaning our homes, when we are speaking to people, everything can be an act of goodness if we keep the right intention and we are sincere and we understand why are we doing this for. This is another ayah that confirms to us that even prophets, which are the most spiritually elevated people, they were deeply grounded in ordinary human life. They ate, they walked in the markets, they dealt with people, and this is a profound reminder that spirituality is not about escaping the world. It is about finding divine presence within the world, and that's the idea of the Sufi path. So here Allah tells us, "We never sent any messenger before you, O Prophet, who did not eat food and go about in marketplaces. We have made some of you a trial for others. Will you not then be patient? And your Lord is all seeing." Subhanallah, this ayah is very, very profound. Allah tells us that the healing path, the path of tazkiyah, purifying our soul, must be integrated with our everyday activities, our relationships, the food we eat, our work. Every experience we have is a space for transformation, is a space for us to clean our souls. Especially when it says, "We have made some of you a trial for others." This is particularly important because I know a lot of you live with people that cause you a lot of pain, and it's something I also experienced in the past. And this is when we have to understand that in the Sufi path, other people that trigger us, they challenge us, that hurt us, they are our mirrors. They are tools for purification for us. Our healing actually may come through the very people who test our ego, our attachments, and our wounds, especially those people that we find to be difficult for us. They are means for spiritual refinement. And inshallah, maybe I'll get into it another time, but I mentioned in some stories the relationship with my mom in particular was extremely, extremely, extremely painful and challenging for me. But I later on realized she was my veil teacher. She was a teacher for me that was veiled from me, meaning through her, I was able to learn all the good things I needed to learn, such as setting boundaries, speaking up, defending myself, protecting myself, standing up against injustice or anything unhealthy. It was through experiencing those situations that I had to learn to do all of that for myself. So this is when sabr comes in, patience. Patience is not, oh, I'm just gonna have to deal with abuse or in a being in an environment that is toxic. That's not patience. Patience is not, Allah will never ask of us to be or tolerate situations that are toxic or harmful. Rather, Allah is asking us to build ourselves in a way where we can find a way out, where we can find a way to live differently. And of course, this requires patience because all of this doesn't come overnight. But it is understanding that, okay, this environment I am now is not healthy for me. I'm going to find a way to get out of here, or to build my character so I can protect myself and I can stand up for myself. And that's basically the message. I'm gonna leave you with a piece of poetry by Maulana Rumi, who really clearly illustrates the message. Subhanallah, here he tells us that, or he asks us to ponder about how, although we may appear in an earthly form, like our body, right? We appear in a body in an earthly form. Our essence is pure consciousness, and we are fearless guardians of divine light. And we actually have to return to the root of our soul. And that's actually the mindset I live by every single day. I keep remembering that there is divine light inside of me that I must protect. I need to become a fearless guardian of it. And that's why anything or anyone who tries to keep me in a situation that is harmful for me, I need to learn to say no. I need to learn to stand up and protect that divine light. And I believe that all of you who are listening to this are called to do the same. I pray that Allah protects us from our own selves, from our own ego. The ego um, is the one who always keeps us in harmful situations. But inshallah, I will later on expand more about the ego. That's a very important topic. Thank you so much for listening if you made it this far. May Allah bless you.